March 14th, 10:47 a.m. Tyler Chen is sitting in his bedroom, AP Biology on one screen, Minecraft on the other. His teacher is explaining cellular respiration. Tyler is explaining to himself why he needs Fortune 3 on his pickaxe. What Tyler doesn't know, Apple's new Realms Activity API went live 6 days ago. It's cross-referencing every player's coordinates with their device's calendar data, including Zoom meeting timestamps. 10:52 a.m. Tyler's keyboard pattern changes. The IT system at Riverside High School logs it in real time. WASD inputs replace the sporadic typing rhythm of note-taking. The algorithm flags it immediately. At 11:03 a.m., Tyler hits diamond, level -58. Coordinates logged X 2847, Y-58Z 1003. His camera is on. He's nodding at his teacher's questions about mitochondria, but his hands are mining. The system doesn't just see what you're doing, it sees when you're lying. Tyler types in chat, "Sorry, Miss Rodriguez, my Wi-Fi is glitching." His coordinates show constant, smooth movement underground. No Wi-Fi glitch moves like that. Here's what 200 million student players don't know yet. Their schools are getting reports they never agreed to. Reports that show exactly when education became background noise. March 15th, 8:15 a.m. Tyler gets called to the principal's office. On the desk, a printout. Minecraft coordinates on the left, Zoom timestamps on the right. A highlighted section showing 16 minutes of AP Bio spent 2,847 blocks from spawn. Mr. Harrison, the IT administrator, is in the room. He pulls up a heat map on his tablet. Red zones show where Tyler spent his class time, not the biology slideshow. A diamond vein at bedrock level. Tyler's defense, "I was listening the whole time. The data says otherwise." The algorithm detected his note-taking stopped at 10:51. His diamond collection started at 10:52. Biology quiz score the next day, 64%. This isn't about one kid in Ohio. This is about the invisible surveillance infrastructure that gaming companies and schools built while everyone was just trying to get through remote learning. Tyler sits in that office, staring at coordinates he thought were private. He asks the question 200 million other students are about to ask, "How do you know all this?" Mr. Harrison just points to the Apple logo on his screen. The Realms Activity API wasn't announced with a press release. It was buried in a Terms of Service update. Section 4.7, Cross-Platform Activity Monitoring for Educational Compliance. Nobody read it. The algorithm counted on that. Before we show you how deep this goes, the API endpoints, the data packets, the schools that opted in without telling parents, you need to understand, Tyler's case isn't rare. It's the test run. In March 2025, a 17-year-old in Oregon got detention for something that happened in Minecraft. Not for what he built, for where he was standing while his camera was off. His school's IT department had a report showing exact timestamps. 10:23 a.m., English class attendance marked present. 10:24 a.m., movement detected 847 blocks underground in a cave system. This wasn't a teacher looking over his shoulder. This was automated surveillance across two completely different platforms that weren't supposed to be talking to each other. The mechanism is called cross-platform activity correlation, and according to leaked internal documents, at least 3 major edtech companies deployed it in late 2024 without public announcement. Here's what students don't know. When schools install monitoring software like GoGuardian or Securely, they're not just watching your school laptop. They're creating a fingerprint of your behavior. That fingerprint includes typing patterns, application switching speed, even the rhythm of your keystrokes. And in 2024, gaming companies started selling access to similar data. Microsoft's 2025 Realms Activity API was marketed as a parental control feature. What the terms of service actually permitted was far broader. Authorized third parties could query player activity with timestamp precision. And here's where it gets wild. Schools are authorized third parties. When you signed your district's acceptable use policy, you likely gave them that access without knowing what you were agreeing to. The technical integration is shockingly simple. Education monitoring software already logs every application you open and how long it runs. Gaming APIs now provide what you did inside those applications. Combine them, and you don't just know a student opened Minecraft during third period. You know they were mining diamonds at Y level -47 while marked present in a Zoom calculus class. This isn't theoretical. Freedom of Information requests to school districts in 5 states have confirmed they're receiving these combined reports. They call them multitasking violation assessments. 200 million student Minecraft accounts exist worldwide. Most have no idea their block placement history could be subpoenaed by a school administrator or logged in a permanent academic record. But the implications go deeper than catching kids playing games. This same infrastructure can track which students join protest planning servers, LGBTQ support communities, or mental health discussion groups. The data retention policies are unclear. Some districts keep keystroke-level logs for 7 years. Gaming platforms store coordinate data indefinitely. Nobody's sure who owns the combined dataset. Privacy advocates have called this the largest unregulated expansion of student surveillance since the pandemic. And it happened quietly, through API updates and terms of service changes nobody read. Minecraft creator Mojang issued a statement saying they support appropriate safety measures. They didn't address whether cross-referencing game coordinates with attendance records qualifies as appropriate. School districts defend the practice as necessary to ensure student engagement. But engagement monitoring and location tracking are fundamentally different activities with different privacy implications. The technology can't distinguish between a student struggling with focus and one taking a mental health break. It treats all off-task behavior as violation, creating a permanent record of normal teenage behavior. Legal experts say current student privacy laws weren't written with this level of granular behavioral surveillance in mind. FERPA and COPPA have no provisions for cross-platform activity correlation. Some states are beginning to respond. California is considering legislation requiring explicit opt-in consent for any monitoring that extends beyond school-managed devices and networks. Meanwhile, students are developing countermeasures. Forums share techniques to spoof input patterns, run games in virtual machines that mask activity, or simply abandon platforms with invasive APIs. This creates a digital divide. Tech-savvy students who can evade surveillance maintain privacy, while those without technical knowledge remain fully monitored, typically along socioeconomic lines. The original Oregon student? His parents filed a lawsuit arguing the monitoring violated his Fourth Amendment rights. The school district responded that he had no reasonable expectation of privacy on school time. But he wasn't on a school device. He was on his personal gaming PC, in his bedroom, playing a game he purchased himself. The only connection was that a school-issued laptop was also powered on nearby. The case raises a question nobody's adequately answered. When does school jurisdiction over student behavior end? At the classroom door, the school network, the hours between 8 and 3? What makes this uniquely concerning is the permanence. Past generations' distraction in class was temporary. This generation's off-task behavior is logged, time-stamped, and potentially attached to college applications. And it's not just Minecraft. Similar APIs exist for Discord, Roblox, Fortnite, and Steam. Any platform popular with students is now a potential data source for school monitoring systems. The industry calls it learning analytics and student success monitoring. Critics call it the privatization and gamification of constant surveillance, normalized for a generation too young to remember privacy. 200 million students deserve to know that their gaming worlds are now extensions of the classroom surveillance state. They deserve a choice about whether that's the future they want. Because once this infrastructure is normalized for catching kids playing games during class, nothing stops it from expanding to monitor everything else they do, everywhere they go, all the time. The technology is already built. The legal framework is ambiguous, and most students won't know they're being watched until they get detention for where they were standing in a video game. January 2024. Microsoft pushes update 1.20.60 to Minecraft Realms. Buried in line 847 of the API documentation, enhanced server-side telemetry for educational and enterprise environments. 200 million students click accept. What they didn't read: every block you break, every coordinate you visit, every second you spend underground, now time-stamped to the millisecond and stored in JSON files that education software can request through legitimate API calls. The problem started 6 months earlier. School districts across North America were hemorrhaging contracts with remote learning platforms. Students were present, but somehow, test scores were cratering. EdTech companies needed proof, not just that students were distracted, but exactly when, for how long, and what they were doing instead. The answer was already running on 40% of student computers. Here's what nobody told you. When your school bought that site license for ClassGuard, or Focus Metrics, or any of 17 monitoring apps, they also bought access to Realm's Activity API. Every cave system became evidence. The technology is brutally simple. Your school's Zoom logs show you were present in third period chemistry from 1:15 to 2 p.m. The Realms API shows your character traveled 847 blocks between 1:23 and 1:54 p.m. The algorithm does the math. But it gets worse. The system doesn't just track where you were, it tracks how you moved. Note-taking has a rhythm, sporadic keystrokes, long pauses. Mining diamonds has a different signature entirely. By March 2025, the Realms Activity API had logged 14 billion coordinate updates from student accounts. Cross-referenced with school attendance systems, it created something nobody expected, an honesty heat map. This is the story of how "my Wi-Fi is glitching" became the most expensive lie in education history, and why 200 million players have no idea their multitasking violation report already exists. Your keyboard is a witness. Every keystroke leaves a fingerprint, not just what you type, but how you type it. When you're writing an essay, your fingers dance across the entire keyboard, pauses for thought, backspaces for revision, a random human rhythm. But when you're gaming, 4 keys, WASD, spacebar, a mechanical pattern repeated thousands of times per hour. Keystroke dynamics, the science of identifying people by their typing patterns, has existed since the 1860s. Now it's evolved into something more invasive. Input pattern recognition software doesn't just track what keys you press. It measures timing intervals, key hold duration, and sequential patterns. Forum posts from cybersecurity researchers reveal the telltale signs. Gaming inputs have 90% more repetitive sequences than academic typing. One software engineer explained, quote, "Detecting WASD spam versus essay writing is trivially easy. The algorithms we built in 2012 could do this in real time." Here's what you don't know. That engagement score your teacher sees, it's not measuring participation. It's measuring whether your hands left the home row. Enterprise monitoring tools like ActiveTrack and TerraMind openly advertise productivity pattern analysis, corporate speak for, "we know when you're playing games." These systems build behavioral baselines. After 3 days, the AI knows you're normal. Deviation triggers alerts your IT department receives before you close the tab. A 2023 study found that 67% of remote monitoring software now includes input pattern analysis as a default feature. But here's the part that should terrify you. These systems don't just detect gaming. They're building comprehensive profiles of your digital behavior. Every pause, every correction, every moment your typing rhythm changes, stored, analyzed, assigned a score. One IT administrator admitted anonymously, "We generate reports showing exactly when students switch activities. Most teachers don't even ask for them. We just send them." The technology is so precise, it can differentiate between Minecraft and Fortnite based purely on input cadence. Different games have different fingerprints. Your keyboard isn't just a tool anymore. It's a surveillance device that knows the difference between analyzing symbolism in Hamlet and mining for diamonds. And 200 million students are typing away, completely unaware that every keystroke is answering a question they never knew was being asked. March 2025. A Reddit post goes viral overnight. The title, "My school just showed me a map of where I was in Minecraft during algebra." The screenshot shows a heat map overlay, red clusters marking exact coordinates, timestamped to the minute. The student had been careful, camera on, occasional nods, but the Realms Activity API had been silently logging every block broken, every coordinate change, cross-referencing it with Zoom's attendance timestamps from the same device. Within 72 hours, Discord servers explode with similar stories. a student in Texas, another in Ontario, then Brazil, all confronted with the same thing: geographic proof of their in-game locations during class hours. The technology isn't new, it's the correlation that's unprecedented. When your game client and video call run on the same machine, the metadata becomes a perfect witness. Every Alt tab, every moment your keyboard switches from typing to WASD movement. Here's what students didn't know. The 2025 Realms Activity API wasn't just for server moderation. It was designed for cross-platform analytics, and schools were early adopters. One heat map shows a student's entire semester, 3 months of Algebra 2 classes. The red zones tell the story: a massive cave system, coordinates -8 and 47 on the y-axis, 42 separate sessions, always during third period. The accuracy is terrifying, not just where you were, but how you moved. The algorithm distinguishes between actual Wi-Fi lag and the movement patterns of active gameplay. Latency has a signature, so does lying. A vice principal in Michigan posts on LinkedIn about breakthrough engagement analytics. She doesn't call it surveillance, she calls it attention verification technology. The comments section becomes a battleground. But here's where it gets wild. The reports are auto-generated. No human checks them first. The system flags you, creates the visualization, and sends it directly to administrators. 200 million student players, and most have no idea the reports exist. One student's heat map goes mega viral. It shows him traveling 12,000 blocks during a single history lecture. The route spells out help. He was testing if anyone was watching. They were. He got detention and a meme legacy. The correlation technology gets more sophisticated daily. Some schools now receive reports showing keyboard pressure patterns, how hard you're hitting keys. Gaming rage quits have a different signature than frustrated essay typing. Privacy advocates raise alarms, but the data collection is technically legal. Students agreed to the Realms terms of service. Schools have device monitoring rights. The intersection of both creates a surveillance loophole no one anticipated. Teachers start getting weekly dashboards, color-coded student names. Green means focused, yellow means occasional distraction, red means they know you weren't just loading the page for 20 minutes. You were 847 blocks deep mining diamonds. By April 2025, an entire generation of students realizes something crucial. The excuse, "my Wi-Fi is glitching," just became obsolete. The algorithm knows the difference, and it's generating reports for every single class. The wildest part? Most IT departments have been sitting on these reports for months, unsure what to do with them. Some schools have gigabytes of student heat maps they haven't even reviewed yet. The data exists. The question is when they'll use it. Chapter 4. 200 million players who don't know they're being watched. The notifications stopped coming after schools reopened. The monitoring never did. 2023, remote learning ends. Students return to physical classrooms. But the Realms Activity API, the one that cross-referenced your game coordinates with Zoom timestamps, still running. Here's what changed. They stopped telling you. The permission forms your parents signed for remote learning monitoring, they never expired. Apple's Realms integration wasn't designed for pandemic emergency response. It was designed to become infrastructure. The emergency just gave them permission to install it. A leaked memo from Cupertino dated March 2024 uses a specific phrase 17 times: behavioral continuity mapping. Not cheating detection, behavioral continuity. Because here's the theory gaining traction in privacy circles. This was never about catching you mining diamonds during algebra. It was about building the most comprehensive data set of teenage attention patterns ever created. 200 million student accounts, 4 years of data, every moment you switched from homework to gameplay, every time you alt-tabbed, every pattern of distraction, focus, and multitasking, time-stamped and categorized. And it's not just Minecraft. The API cross-references with iMessage, Safari history, screen time data. Apple knows the exact second you stopped paying attention, what you switched to, and how long before you came back. This isn't a documentary about getting caught anymore. This is about why the surveillance infrastructure built during an emergency is still watching you 3 years after the emergency ended. School IT departments get weekly reports they didn't ask for. multitasking violation scores, attention deficit metrics, productivity ratings, all generated automatically, all stored indefinitely. The Wi-Fi excuse you used in 2021? The system logged that too. It knows how many times you claimed connection issues. It knows whether your internet actually dropped or whether you just minimized Zoom to build a castle. Privacy researchers call it surveillance creep. The slow normalization of monitoring that started as temporary but becomes permanent because nobody remembers to turn it off. You're not in online class anymore, but your Xbox Live account is still linked to your school Microsoft 365. Your PlayStation is still connected to your Edu email. The reporting never stopped. Apple's 2024 education report to investors includes a phrase that should terrify you: sustained engagement monitoring across all environments. Not just school, all environments. The heat map showing where you were when you should have been in class, it's still being generated right now, even though you're physically in the building, because it was never really about attendance. It's about building profiles. Attention merchants want to know exactly how distracted you are, what distracts you, and how long it takes to pull you back. That data is worth billions. The Realms Activity API is just the foundation. Apple's education division is beta testing something called Continuity Insights, full cross-device behavioral tracking marketed as academic support tools. Your teachers don't know this exists, your parents didn't read the updated terms, and you're still 847 blocks deep in that cave system, not knowing the mining session is being added to your permanent attention profile. 200 million students. One permanent record that isn't about grades. It's about where your attention goes when nobody thinks they're watching. Except someone is always watching now. The pandemic ended, the excuse to monitor you didn't. And the scariest part, this isn't the end game. This is the infrastructure being built for whatever comes next. So here we are, the final boss level. You thought you were just mining diamonds during English class. Turns out you were generating evidence. The 2025 Realms Activity API didn't just track where you built your house. It created a behavioral fingerprint of every keystroke, every mouse movement, every second you weren't paying attention. Apple's cross-referencing algorithm compared your Zoom attendance stamps with your in-game coordinates, down to the millisecond. It knew you were 847 blocks deep before your teacher even asked if you were still there. 200 million student players, 200 million automatically generated reports, sitting in IT department inboxes right now. Most schools haven't even opened them yet. This isn't about Minecraft anymore. Every game you've ever alt-tabbed to during a work call, every YouTube video during a meeting, every social media scroll during a lecture, it's all logged. Your acceptable use policy? The one you clicked I agree on without reading in freshman orientation? Go read it, like actually right now. I'll wait. Here's what nobody told you. Behavioral analytics don't need your permission when you're using institutional accounts. Your school email, your assigned device, your network, they're all listening. The algorithm knows the difference between typing an essay and typing in chat, between research clicking and gaming clicking, between authorized breaks and unauthorized diamonds. And this is just what we found out about. How many other APIs are cross-referencing your data right now? How many other companies are building profiles you'll never see? The scariest part? This technology isn't new. It's just the first time it got exposed. Your devices have been telling on you for years. We're only now learning the language they're speaking. For every student who said, "My Wi-Fi is glitching," there's now a timestamp showing exactly what you were really doing. The receipts exist. They've always existed. So what do you do now? First, assume everything is tracked, because it probably is. Second, read those policies. Third, understand that digital privacy isn't about what you hide. It's about what you don't even know is visible. The multitasking violation reports are just the beginning. This is the precedent, the proof of concept. The moment we realized the surveillance infrastructure was already built, we just didn't know it was turned on. Welcome to the reality where your cave system mining run became evidence in your academic record, where your WASD movement pattern is as identifying as your fingerprint, where playing games while doing literally anything else leaves a permanent trail. You thought you were just a player, Turns out you were always the one being played, and the game, it was rigged from the start. The question is, now that you know, what are you going to do about it? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out other videos.